All right, guys, it's been a really, really long time since we recorded our last episode, but me and Cam are finally back. And tomorrow or the day after, you might see a new partner of us named Nathan. He's going to join us as our third host. But welcome back to the Backtrack Podcast, everyone. It's been a long, long time since we last recorded, and we apologize for that, but we are finally back and recording. And, of course, it's your usual two, me and Cam here today. And today we will talk about the rumors going on with Kirill Kaprizov and his venture from Russia to the NHL in Minnesota, and now potentially going back to Russia in the KHL. Rumors circulating he's going to go back to his former team in Moscow, but again, it's just rumors. We don't know anything that's true. It's just a contract being talked about right now. So, of course, let's get started with like what happened. Kirill Kaprizov won the Calder Trophy, arguably the best rookie of the year. A few others came to mind with Jason Robertson and Alex Nedeljkovic, but of course, I think easily Kirill Kaprizov was the top winner. He was a big asset every night for the Wild. Unfortunately, they didn't make it too far in the playoffs, but again, huge part of this team. And I think by far the most valuable player in this season for the Wild. He's only 24 years old. He had 27 goals, 24 assists. That totals up to 51 total points. And, at 201 pounds and 5'9", that's kind of amazing to do that. And, your first year in the NHL, you're going up against the top guys in the NHL as well. The Wild did not really have an easy division if you consider it. I mean, they had to play with some really, really tough teams. But again, that's just really impressive. And Cam, first off, let's talk about the season that Kirill Kaprizov has had, and what do you think about it? Like, it's just absolutely ridiculous. But
Yeah, this guy is not just coming in to be a very close to point a game player, but coming in to an organization which needed a spark light of youth or just something, because I feel like Kaprizov was the missing piece. This guy, Minnesota didn't really have a superstar, and this guy, he's he's a very talented kid, and like especially looking at him by the eye test, you can see the intense amount of skill. And once if he stays, and once he gets a center potentially in Marco Rossi and a winger with Matt Boldy, the ceiling is high for Kirill Kaprizov, and he really did turn Minnesota and carried them into being and that's just he's an excellent player, and he's still very young, so very impressed with him, and he put up excellent numbers.
yeah, I mean, and I'm not gonna lie, this is definitely the hardest division in the Western Conference. If we consider the North to be part of the Western Conference in this case, up against Colorado, up against Vegas, and up against St. Louis, those three teams are not easy to handle. But Kirill Kaprizov managed to, get slightly past St. Louis, and then not unfortunately not across Vegas and Colorado, but still nearly put Vegas on the brink of a elimination in a game 7. So very, very impressive. But now let's talk about what's going on recently with Kirill Kaprizov. Now, of course, we all have to admit he's a star. There's no way that we can't deny that. He has a bright future if he continues to play in the National Hockey League with the Minnesota Wild. But what's going on with going back to the KHL? I mean, the pressure is mounting here for Kirill Kaprizov. There's a KHL threat. It's heightening. It's getting even worse and worse. The situation is piling, and it's just, again, as I just said, it's getting much more stressing for Minnesota. But do you think they'll sign him to an extension? And if they do, how much will they sign him for?
Oh, absolutely. I think if the pressure is on anybody, it's more Bill Guerin, the general manager. But I think this is a tactic by Kaprizov, his agent. And, obviously, if, let's say, he doesn't get the money he wants or gets the deal he wants, this is his threat to walk away, like, oh, if you don't pay me this much money, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna head over to overseas because, well, I can. And it's more, I think Billy Guerin and the Minnesota Wild were looking at a 6 to 7 year deal, maybe even 8 years. But Kaprizov was more settling on something, on a less term deal. And I think Minnesota, I heard from sources, they offered him $9 million. I think Kaprizov got offered over 10 overseas, if I saw that correctly. Which honestly, I think it's going to be probably a 2-year, 3-year deal, around $9 million, and I think that'll be good enough to get him to stay, and I don't think he's going to go overseas. I just
So when you say
honestly,
2 years,
don't
nine
see that
million,
happening.
is it 9 million per year you're meaning, or 9 million in total? Like,
Yeah,
so he's getting 4.5.
$9 million average annual value. So
That's
nine would be
crazy.
like
Yeah.
if it was a 2 year deal, it'd be 18 million or $27 million for 3 years, or however you cut it. And I don't think, I mean, I know there's a threat everybody's saying. I don't think he's going to go back to the KHL. I would be very surprised to hear that news. But again, I'm not Kaprizov's agent. I'm not Bill Guerin. I'm not Kaprizov. I don't exactly know what's going on with conversations, but I do know conversations are starting to heat up, and I imagine he'd have a deal in the next month or so.
And my final question for you, Cam, is obviously you look at Kirill Kaprizov and guys who have won the Calder Trophy. I mean, look at the last couple of Calder Trophy winners, since 2000, and these guys are mostly superstars. Kel McCarr won it in 2020, right? 19 was Elias Pettersson, Matthew Barzal, Austin Matthews, Artemi Panarin, Aaron Ekblad, Nathan McKinnon, Jonathan Huberdeau, Landeskog, Ovechkin won it at some point. Malkin did, Kane did. These guys all won it, and now
All
you look
stars,
at,
yeah.
and all of them are future Hall of Famers and All Stars currently. And look at, you look at Kaprizov now; he's one of them. Why isn't he taking Minnesota's money? Minnesota is offering a solid deal. Of course, they're not going to let him go after maybe a 2 or 3 year extension. They're not going to let him go. They're going to probably sign him long term in the future. He's just way too young right now. He's only 24. Signing him for like an 8-year contract would be way, way too early. But why don't you think he's taking Minnesota's money right now?
Well, I think originally it was probably more the term, if anything. And for, let's say, example, he did sign an 8 year deal. He's 24. That would take him up to, he's about 32, I think, 32, 33 years old. For him, he's probably looking, hey, I want to see where if I'm going to be the face of the franchise here, I can take a multi-year, 3 year deal, and 25, 26 puts you about 25, 20, about 26, 27 years old when he can test free agency, when he becomes a unrestricted free agent. I do think he's pretty set on that. For the money, I mean, him and his agent probably want to pull all the strings possible. And I can see why Minnesota would hesitate, because he's only played 50 something NHL games in his career. Obviously, he's got the track record with overseas, but I mean, there has to be like, you can see the market is rising. The NHL defensemen top pair are making $9 million plus right now for defensemen. So, the forward market's probably going to rise to about 11 million with the cap rising. So Kaprizov probably wants to get the most money for his value he possibly can, and knows he can make more money overseas if he does wish to do that. So he does. I mean, there is the leverage. Kaprizov's probably in the best situation here out of all the people. If he doesn't get the money he wants, he can go overseas, or if he gets the money, or he gets matched that money, he can stay in the NHL. I mean, he's got plenty of options, and that's going to be interesting to watch.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in, and have a great night. I mean, we're going to have to see what Kirill Kaprizov is going to be up to this offseason. It's very interesting for the Minnesota Wild, either a big W for them or a massive, massive loss. But have a good night, everyone.